In shock and disbelief, they just stood there. They could succeed with their plan. Their true intentions were supposed to remain a secret. Nevertheless, there she stood. They had been caught in the act by the cruise ship cleaner. Her evidence was enough to bring their plans to an abrupt halt. They were shown the evidence as she waved it before them. The laundry was given in the night before, and the stains were visible. "Can you explain this?" she asked, her bright blue eyes glinting with mischief. Those were the first signs that things were about to get worse. It was highly embarrassing for the couple. Before sending in their laundry, they ensured it was as clean as possible. There must have been an oversight when it came to cleaning this shirt. This didn't sit well with the cleaner. The cleaner didn't get upset because of the mess, but because of something else. The cleaner then revealed the proper intentions. Neither the clothing nor the mess associated with it bothered her. That was just something she was trying to take advantage of. Then, after discovering what the couple was really up to, she squeezed them dry. "This little mess will cost $5,000 to clean," she said, waving a hand at the soiled shirt. "Before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't. And hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories." A total of 13 years have passed since the start of this entire situation. As the couple approached retirement age, they began to plan what they would do with their time. The couple would finally retire in less than a month. As soon as they received their checks, they could do whatever they wanted with their money and time. Then came the big question. What would they do now that they had been waiting for this opportunity for so long? They had talked about this day their entire marriage, and so much had been on their minds. However, there were some serious considerations to be made. The money they needed for their last days on Earth had to be set aside before they went off gallivanting. It was contemplated by the couple to move into the house of one of their children. They had 3 children together. Certain things hindered them, however. Their 3 children were all grown up and had their own families. Furthermore, the grandparents weren't interested in interfering with their lives. That was not an option. The couple also didn't want to spend the rest of their lives alone. The next option was to go to a care facility, but neither of them wanted that, especially not at the age they were then. They still had a lot to experience, and they didn't want to give that up for something they would only use later in their lives. It was a touchy subject for the old couple. They couldn't believe that the years had flown by in the blink of an eye. Despite still having a few good years ahead of her, Diana felt like her life was coming to an end, but in an attempt to keep her life fun and interesting, she found herself in a risky situation. For all her life, Diana dreamed of visiting Europe and traveling the world, but she never got that opportunity. She got married straight out of high school, and her first child was born less than a year later. From then on, her life was dedicated to being a mother and a stay-at-home wife. She was so busy caring for everyone else that she never got to care for herself. With their retirement hanging over their heads like a dark cloud, Roger could see the impact it had on his wife. Roger loved his wife more than anything or anyone else in the world, and he was determined to make things right. It was up to him to find a solution to the problem. He decided to sit down and discuss the situation with his wife. Diana confessed that she felt their lives had revolved only around work and raising children, leaving no time for their own dreams. She longed for the adventures she once imagined, sipping wine in Italy, standing on Table Mountain, and feared she'd never get the chance. It became clear to him that what mattered most to Diana was not letting go of the plans they'd built over the years. They had sacrificed comfort and luxury for their family, always putting their needs last. Now, as retirement approached, they wanted to make the most of what they had and reclaim the joy they'd postponed for decades. Both longed to enjoy life again, to see new places, to live freely, to make memories beyond daily routines. Diana's heart was drawn to travel, while Roger, worn down by years of stress from his high-level job, simply wanted peace. He needed to find something that gave her adventure and him rest. That night, while Diana slept, Roger sat before the computer searching for answers. After hours of scrolling, one advertisement caught his eye: a new, affordable cruise ship departing from Miami. The prices seemed too good to be true. He spent the rest of the night researching different cruise lines, but he soon discovered a problem. These ships didn't sail year-round. They paused operations for months at a time, which would leave them without a place to stay during the breaks. Still, the idea of spending their remaining years exploring the seas seemed too tempting to dismiss. Roger weighed every possibility. Could they manage such a lifestyle at their age? The constant transitions between sailing and docking worried him. They would need to find temporary accommodations during off-seasons, which could complicate things. He spent several more hours organizing information, crunching numbers, and mapping out scenarios. He wasn't sure it was even legal to live on a cruise ship permanently, but he refused to give up. Slowly, The pieces started to fit together. The expenses, the logistics, everything seemed surprisingly reasonable. By sunrise, Roger had outlined a potential plan that could change their lives. When Diana awoke that morning, she found her husband asleep on the couch, surrounded by papers and his open laptop. He had clearly spent the entire night researching. She gently touched his shoulder, waking him. A broad smile spread across his face as he gestured for her to sit beside him. Diana hesitated, unsure what to expect, but soon joined him. Her eyes followed his to the computer screen, and she gasped. Before her was an image of a shining cruise ship cutting through blue waters, with destinations stretching across the world. Diana sat beside her husband in front of the computer as he showed her picture after picture of the magnificent cruise ships he had discovered the night before. When he turned to her, she wore a sad smile that made his heart sink. An uneasy silence filled the room. "This all seems lovely," she finally whispered, "but we could never go through with it." Her words struck him deeply. She explained that living permanently on cruise ships wasn't realistic. Once the owners realized they were treating the vessels as homes, they'd be asked to leave. Roger's shoulders slumped. He had spent the entire night building hope around this idea. The thought of abandoning it was painful. He closed the computer and pulled Diana into a quiet embrace. "I just wanted us to see the world together," he murmured. Diana blinked back tears, agreeing that the dream was beautiful but impractical. They had lived their whole lives playing it safe, building stability, avoiding uncertainty. Maybe that was why this plan felt both thrilling and terrifying. As Roger sat in silence, his mind wandered. What if they took the risk? She didn't reject the idea immediately. Roger felt a new determination rise within him. If he could prove to Diana that the risk wasn't as great as she feared, maybe they could make it work. During one of his searches, a new advertisement caught his attention. It was for a limited-time cruise that would visit 3 of the countries Diana had always longed to see. Without hesitation, he made a bold decision. While his wife was preparing lunch, Roger booked the trip. As they sat around their dining room table, eating the lunch Diana had prepared, Roger revealed his sudden plans. He had booked them a cruise. Diana was stunned, but her eyes soon sparkled with excitement. It sounded like the perfect way to start their retirement. She thought it was just a short trip before they settled down, not realizing her husband had something far bigger in mind. 2 weeks later, they stood at the harbor, their bags packed and hearts full of anticipation. From the moment the ship departed, they were swept into a world of wonder. Every moment felt magical. They dined under the stars, danced until midnight, and rediscovered the spark that had faded over the years. Days turned into weeks, and the couple explored new countries, met fascinating people, and found joy in a rhythm that felt freer than ever before. What started as a fantasy began to take root. The more they discussed it, the more possible it seemed. They learned that living aboard cruise ships was not only feasible, but even cheaper than a retirement facility with doctors on board and endless destinations to explore. To be sure, they booked another cruise, testing what long-term life at sea would feel like. By the end, there was no doubt in their minds. Years passed, and Roger and Diana's dream became their reality. They traveled from one cruise to another, visiting countries they had once only read about. Their next trip was a Caribbean cruise, and that was where everything changed. The couple always kept their unusual arrangement secret from the staff, afraid the company would stop them from continuing their seafaring life. But one fateful night, that secret was threatened. After an evening of dancing, they returned to their cabin to find a woman leaning against their door, a cleaner with a mischievous look. She insisted on entering with them, and once inside, pulled one of Roger's shirts from her cart. There was a stain on it, and she demanded an explanation. Diana calmly explained it was from a small accident Roger had suffered the night before. But then the cleaner smirked. She confessed that she had seen them on other ships. She knew their secret, that they were living on cruises full-time, and threatened to expose them unless they paid her $5,000. If the company found out, she warned, they'd be banned for life. Diana's heart pounded, but she refused to show fear. She told the cleaner to go ahead and report them, knowing that blackmailing passengers was just as serious an offense. Still, the situation left her furious and determined to teach the woman a lesson. When the ship docked at the next port, Diana contacted a local news station and exposed the cleaner's extortion attempt. The story spread quickly. The cruise company was horrified and issued a public apology. The cleaner was immediately fired and permanently banned from working on any cruise line again. In gratitude, the company rewarded Roger and Diana with VIP status, granting them free cruises for life. For the couple who once feared they were too old to take risks, the sea had become their home, a place where dreams didn't fade with age, but finally came true.